Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Coding Beauty and welcome to today's video. In this video we are going to discuss about the Python object oriented programming concepts. Okay, so let's see which are the concepts. There are actually 4 of the concepts. They are polymorphism, inheritance, abstraction and encapsulation. Okay, so now let's see each one of them. So what is polymorphism? So polymorphism means it is an ability to use a common interface for multiple forms, or you can see that it is an ability for a message or data to be processed in more than one form. Okay, so now let's see a real life example. Okay, so here you can see that, for example, human is a subclass of mammals, right? Similarly, cat and cow are also subclasses of these mammals. So suppose I am giving a message like see in daylight for the mammals, then which all will respond back? Only the cats will respond back, right? Similarly, because every mammals can see in the daylight, but if I give see at night, then cats only will come under this, which means that cat is responding in 2 different ways, which is see in daylight as well as see at night. Okay, so which means that polymorphism means a data or a message can be processed in more than one form. Here our cat is responding in more than one form. So that is why we took this example as polymorphism. Okay, now let's see an example code, how you can create polymorphism inside your program code. So now let's create an example for polymorphism. Okay, so I am going to create a class called parrot, inside which we are going to define 2 different functions. Okay, or 2 different methods. They are fly, and let's give parrots can fly. Got it? Now let's give swim. Okay, and we are going to give print parrots cannot swim. Now let's take another example of penguin. Penguin also we are going to create same ones. Okay, let's give def fly a function to define the fly. Will penguins fly? No, right? So let's give penguins cannot fly, and let's give like def swim. Let's create print penguins can swim. Got it? So now again outside we are going to create a function called test. Okay, to test, and let's give it to be a bird. So inside which we are going to give like bird dot swim. So here we are going to test it using a bird. Got it? So now you have to create 2 different objects. Let's create blue is equals to parrot, and now let's give p is equals to penguin. Now let's give test of blue as well as test of p. Okay, which means here we have created 2 objects for 2 different classes, and inside the function call you are passing a value, right? Because here you have passed a value bird. So instead of the value bird you are passing it like parrot and penguin. So here we have given dot swim, right? So here you can see that a bird it will be responding in two different ways. Okay, so inside the bird test we are testing whether it will swim. So you can see that parrots cannot swim and penguins can swim. So which means that in two different types you are able to get the output, isn't it? For the swim itself. Now let's try with fly. So the fly is also going to respond in two different ways. Like parrots can fly and penguins cannot fly. Okay, so this is how the birds respond to each of the function or the message that we have given. Okay, so this is basically known as polymorphism. Now let's move on to the next topic called inheritance. So now you can see the next object oriented programming concept is inheritance. So what is inheritance? Inheritance is a capability of one class to inherit the properties from another class. Okay, inheritance means it is a way of creating a new class for using details of an existing class without modifying it. The newly formed class is a derived class or a child class. Similarly, the existing class is known as a base class. Okay, now we can see that a real life example. Okay, you have got different kinds of abilities, like you can dance, sing and things like that. You can do crafts, drawing and every kind of ability each person has got, which means talents, right? From where did you guys get these talents? From your parents, which means you inherited those properties from your parents or those talents from your parents, right? So just keep in mind about this example. This is all about inheriting. Okay, similarly what we are going to do is think about your parent to be a class and you to be a child class. Okay, so what will happen? You are inheriting the properties. The child class inherits the properties from the parent class, right? Because you are inheriting the properties from your parents or the talents from your parents, right? Similarly, each class is inheriting the properties from another class. That is what we are going to discuss all about in this inheritance. Okay, there are different types of inheritance that we are going to discuss right now. So here you can see different types of inheritance. Can you see there are 5 types of inheritance? The first one is the simple inheritance, where means I told you, you are a child and this is the parent. So what happens? The child inherits the properties from the parent. Okay, so now let's see the next one. What happens? There is only one child and 2 parents, which is mother and your father. You are inheriting the properties from both of them. Okay, the next is the multi-level inheritance. What happens? You have your parents here, this is yourself, and you have your kids. Your kids inherited the properties from you and you inherited the properties from your parents, isn't it? So there is a multi-level of inheritance. Now what is this hierarchical inheritance? You know that there are 2 kids for a parent, right? So what is happening here? The 2 children are inheriting the properties from the parent class. This is known as hierarchical inheritance. And hybrid inheritance means you are combining one or more inheritance. In the upper 2 of the levels, if you see that, it is the multi-level inheritance, right? Can you see this? Because the child class is inheriting the properties from their parent class, isn't it? It is the hierarchical inheritance, right? And what is the down part? From the 2 parents they are doing. So this is the multiple. So it is a combination of hierarchical and multiple inheritance. Got it? So this is how all the inheritances are there, and we are going to see an example how you can do inheritance using this programming. So now what we are going to do is let's create a class called bird. Okay, So inside the bird we are going to define a init function. This is the where we are going to create a parent class and a child class, okay, where we saw right now. Now let's give like bird is ready. Now let's give who is this, okay, and let's give self. Now you can print it to be a bird, right? Now let's define swim. Swim of self. So now what we can just print swims faster. Got it? Now let's create a class called penguin, okay? So these both are individual classes, okay? Now let's print it to be penguin is ready. Now let's define who is this. So now what will happen? You will get it to be print penguin, okay? So now let's define another property called run. Will penguin run? Yes, penguins can run. So now let's give penguins can run. Got it? So now what we are going to do is, this is the subclass, right? The penguin is also a bird, so it can also inherit the properties of a bird, isn't it? So now what you can do, you can give inside the bracket bird, okay? So which means that it will be inheriting the properties of the bird. Now let's create a object for this penguin class. Got it? So we created. So now let's see what is happening. Here you can see penguin is ready as well as bird is ready, because what happened, you are inheriting the properties of the bird from the penguin also, right? So if I give who is this, then what you will get, who is this, then it give you penguin. Now let's see whether it will give you swim. So now here you can see that it's also swimming, because you can even inherit the swim property also, okay? But just the thing is that you have to create it for a single class, okay? So this is how you can inherit. This is simple inheritance that I have shown you, okay? Got it? The several different types of inheritance you can do using the same concept itself, okay? If you haven't watched my video on inheritance with all the inheritance explained in detail, then you can watch that, okay? I'll be giving the link in the description box, or you can check the playlist called Python. Now let's move on to the next one called encapsulation, okay? Using OOPS in Python, we can restrict the access to methods and variables. This prevents the data modification, which means you are not able to modify the data without the consent, okay? So from a function, we are going to set the maximum price of a product, okay? And then we can see how it will be not preventing the data from its direct modifications, okay? By modifying it, you won't be able to get it output, okay? So let's see an example how encapsulation can be done. So I am going to show you an example using this called computer, okay? The class called computer. Now let's define init of self. Now what we are going to do is, let's create self dot maximum price is equals to 900, okay? Now let's define something called sell. cell of self. Okay, so now let's print selling price of a computer is self dot maximum price, right? So now let's give DEF set maximum price. Now let's give self dot price, and let's give self dot price, self dot maximum price is equals to price. Okay, so here whatever is the value that we are passing, okay, that will be self dot maximum price. Okay, so that is how we are setting it. So now let's give C is equals to computer, which means you are creating an object for the class. Okay, now let's give C dot cell. Now you will get the selling price to be 900. Okay, now let's give C dot maximum price is equals to 2000. Okay, now let's give C dot cell. Still here you can see that it has changed, right? Which means your encapsulation doesn't work here, isn't it? Because you changed the maximum price and it has been changed. For that we are going to use a single mark, okay, like a double mark, just like the init, just before the maximum price. Okay, and now let's see what is going to happen. Self dot underscore underscore maximum price. So now here you can see that it has been restricted, isn't it? So this is known as encapsulation. Before a variable you can use double underscore so that it won't be changing. Okay, now if you just give set maximum price, this function, okay, set maximum price, okay, set maximum price of, and then if you pass a function called 5000, then automatically it will be changing. Okay, so here you can see it has changed, because only if you change the value here, then only your maximum price will be changed. Okay, otherwise it won't be changing. This is known as encapsulation. If I give here double underscore also, it won't be changing. Okay, so in order to restrict a value from modifying it, then you can use the double underscore before a variable. Okay, I hope it was clear for you. Now let's move on to the next concept, okay, and which is the last concept. So now let's see the next one called abstraction. Abstraction in Python is a process of hiding the real implementation of an application from the users and emphasizing only the usage of it. Okay, so now let me tell you an example. Okay, suppose you are going to a bank. Okay, you inside the bank you want to deposit some money. So what will you do? You will get a form and they are just asking you for your account number, your name, your date and the amount, right? And then you will be paying it to the cashier there. But what do you think? After you pay that, there is so much of processes that are going behind it, right? Which you are not aware, isn't it? So these are known as, because only the real implementation of an application is actually given to the user and you don't know what is happening behind it. Such things are known as abstraction in Python. Okay, process of hiding things. Okay, similarly you all guys know what is print statement, right? So inside the print, if you give inverted quotes and give a sentence, what will happen? It will print as such here, right? Isn't it? But what is happening inside? Do you guys know what is print statement? What is written? What are the statements written behind the print statement? No, right? Similarly, here also the same thing happens. Okay, so this is known as the abstraction. Got it? So now let's see what is abstract class. Okay, a class containing one or more abstract methods. So there will be one or more abstract methods. Then it is known as a abstract class. Okay. Instead of all the implementations can be defined in the methods of a subclass that inherit the abstract class. An abstract class is created by importing a class named ABC from ABC module and inheriting the ABC class. Okay, so I'll be showing you how you can do that. Okay, so this is the example of abstract class. Okay, this is how you create an abstract class, and here you are inheriting the class called poly. Okay, and the same function you are giving the function with 3 sides. Okay, here you can see 2 classes. One is the abstract class and the other one is a triangle, right? So here from the triangle the poly is being inherited, right? And here the number of sides is the inside the 2 classes you have got the number of sides with a self, okay, which is printing the 3 sides. Okay, so now you are just creating a triangle, a variable for a triangle, and calling that function. Then it will be giving you 3 sides. Okay, this is how you do abstraction, because here you have got an abstract class, but nobody knows that there is an abstract class here, because what you're doing, what is abstraction? You are hiding what is happening behind, right? So this concept is known as abstraction. Thank you guys for watching my video. If you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the bell button. Okay, see you in the next video with some other interesting topics. Bye, and don't forget to give me a comment on this video below. Bye bye.